Hello everyone and welcome to our first episode of our chunk-locked free-to-play Group Ironmen series. I'm Pikkufighter and I'm here joined with Jonty500 as my partner, and we are gonna, do a chunk-locked account. Or accounts. So for you who don't know how chunk-locked works, it's pretty much we're given a chunk and we have to complete everything we can do in this chunk before we're allowed to unlock a new one. Our starting chunk is Draynor Village, or chunk number 12338. The only requirements I had, or we had, for finding a chunk is that it needs a bank and it's gonna be somewhere where people haven't really done these series before. Draynor Village were the only chunk that actually filled these criteria. So, a bit of rules. Like I said, we are not allowed to go outside the chunk. We have to complete everything before we get out of the chunk. We are allowed to lure enemies, or enemies that wander into our chunk, and to kill them and loot them. We are allowed to work toward future goals, and we are accepting indirect help from our main accounts. Like, for example, we have an imp spawn inside our chunk, but they can also spawn on the other side of a wall, which means they can't actually pathfind back to us, which means we can take our main and kill it. Or we won't take any loot or anything else from it. Moving on to our chunk goals. Starting with the easiest one of all, since the imp has a chicken drop, we are gonna have level 1 cooking and cook a chicken. Easy enough. With that, we're also gonna get 30 wood cutting and 30 fire making to cut and light a willow log. Besides that, we are gonna get all unique enemy drops, buy one of everything from the store, and then we're also gonna open at least one beginner casket. And for our longest grind of all, we are gonna acquire the best in slot items. These are created from two different long grinds. The first one is to get 43 magic for superheat, because some enemies in this chunk drop copper and tin ore, which means we can make bronze bar, which means we need superheat. The second longer goal is to get at least 48 smithing for steel plate body, which would be our best in slot. The reason why we need to make a steel plate body is because Black Knight in the chunk can drop a steel bar, which means we have a way to grind that level. There are ways that this smithing goal will be reduced, because it's technically only for the best in slot. There are, for example, free-to-play accounts can still get the random event Quizmaster, and we can get a steel plate body from that one, which would reduce our smithing goal to 46 for the steel plate legs. But we can also get black gear from our beginner caskets, and those are slightly better than steel. So if we manage to get both the black plate body and the black plate legs, our smithing goal will be reduced to 39 for the steel warhammer, which we also can get the black variant from beginner caskets. So with enough luck, if we get those 3 black items, our smithing goal will be reduced to 30 to just use a steel bar. I will also mention here that we can get mithril ore from the maze random event. It is very rare, and if we get it, it would require us to get 50 smithing to make a mithril bar. But that is falling under more supreme goals, not extreme goals that we are doing. In the chunk you might see that I'm gonna focus on the magic and also the smithing grind, because of superheat I need also higher smithing level. So the biggest grinds are entirely on me. While Jonty is gonna focus on the cooking, wood cutting and fire making, and he's also gonna focus a lot on the unique enemy drops. But for now, that's all we got to talk about, so we are gonna move on to some clips and I will explain our starting plan to you.
So my plan for early levels were basically goblins. Now, while goblins don't really belong to our chunk, they do wander in from time to time in the forest. So to get started with goblins, I felt like I should probably get my attack up a little bit. So I went down to the sewers, punched a few rats until I got 5 attack and a few strength levels. Then I went and got some basic supplies from Aggie and went over to goblins and started punching them. The goblin drop table is kinda small, but it does have a few useful items to us. First and foremost, we definitely need to get the bronze square shields, as it will be very good defensive upgrades early on, and also I'm hoping I will get it early on in this grind because killing the goblins do some damage to me, so I do need some healing. Aside from that, there are some runes and of course beginner clue scrolls, but since we are on free to play, we at least don't have to worry about the champion scroll. Not that we would be eligible for that even if we were members, considering the quest point requirement. Sadly, I wasn't very lucky starting off with the kills, but quite quickly I at least managed to get together some money so I could head over to Django and buy some Fashionscape and some other useful equipment he has, and also I was also able to upgrade to vines from Fortunato. They are really good healing wise, but hopefully I won't have to eat too much because it would definitely push down my attack level too much and I would stop hitting on enemies, but it's clearly the best food we have, so you can't really complain about 11 healing even though it has an attack deficit. I sadly ended up going very dry on the square shields from goblins. I think I went 3 times the drop rate before I finally got my first one. They were hitting. They weren't hitting too much, but they were hitting every once in a while, and the square shield definitely helped with speeding it up. Technically I could now move on to the next monster I needed to start farming, but I decided to stay at goblins for quite a while just to try and complete their drop table. At this point the only thing I really had left to do was go for the brass necklace. In the end I got the brass necklace as well. After 300 goblin kills. If you wanna know what 300 goblins loot looks like, yep, here it is. Guess that's useful for someone. Now I had 2 choices. I could either continue on and kill some dark wizards, or I could go on and try to kill the lower level zombies in the sewers. I decided to start off with some dark wizards. I got a few kills on it, I got some item drops, but they were dealing a little bit too much damage, and I really wanted a better weapon before I started killing them properly, so I decided to go down and kill the low level zombies in the hopes of getting a bronze longsword. And the game gave me all the luck back from the square shields. In 7 kills I managed to get myself a bronze longsword. A 1 in 180 drop.
Thank you for that explanation, Jonty. Instead of boring you with doing the exact same thing that Jonty just did, I will give you a bit of a montage before I move into where we differentiate in our paths. Mostly at the start, me and Jonty did exactly the same thing. Where we started to differentiate was when we got our first weapon upgrade, so to speak. Upgrade, it was the cursed weaponry. Those don't give any visible bonus, but it gives a +3 strength, attack and defense bonus, which does help a bit. Only a bit. The reason I took the cursed goblin staff was because it has auto cast, and we also needed to buy at least one of everything from every shop. The next thing to do was to try to get the better weapon, which was the staff, which was acquired from flinching dark wizards. It took me a while to figure out how to set up the flinch properly, at least for the one that's further away from the bank. And after I got it set up, it took a long time to get the kill. Roughly about 3 minutes and 49 seconds to be exact. Luckily you get the speeded version of that. Also got my first clue scroll from Dark Wizards. It wasn't the right clue or the only clue we can do, but we're gonna talk more about that at a later date. It didn't take me too long to get the first staff, it was just a few kills. I don't remember exactly since my counter reset a few times during the early days of the account. But with that one, I could use whatever runes I also acquired in the meantime and go and get my first magic levels. After getting my first magic levels, I went to stock up on wine to go and kill some zombies for a few more upgrades. I got very lucky on the copper ore drop. It dropped pretty quickly, it's a 1 in 28 drop, so I'm very happy with that one. Followed by my first random event, which was coins. Could be better. I was more happy with the mind runes though, since those will give me more of the early magic levels. And the final notable drop was the arrows, which Jonte will be taking, since Jonte will be taking care of all the ranged grind. But yeah, back to you, Jonte.
The bronze longsword unlocks quite a few monsters for me, and I'm able to finally kill dark wizards efficiently, and also kill zombies quicker for more upgrades. I went back to dark wizards for, well, a few tens of kills, but I didn't really feel like that's where my efforts needed to be. So I started going back to zombies to see if I could unlock some more defensive upgrades or offensive upgrades. And as luck would have it, I got something. With that, I have now obtained every single upgrade from the lower level zombies in terms of combat stuff. But I decided to keep on going with them because I still needed an iron axe, and I also knew that sooner or later I would need to move on to the higher level zombies, so the combat experience from the lower level zombies would definitely help when I get to that. But before I could get there, I needed a toilet break. This one really stunk. I knew that our hardcore status would probably not last that long, and but yeah, that one stung. I really thought I was safe there, but clearly I was not. And so many things just lined up there to just kill me. Like you can see in the clip that the aggro range of the guard pretty much ends the next tile from where I am standing. So if I had been like 1 or 2 tiles over, he wouldn't even have been able to attack me. And the only reason that guard even got to that place was because of that one player that ran in and pulled him over. That's 1 life down, and yeah, that one was not fun. Not fun at all. But as they say, life moves on. And we still had a long grind ahead of us, so I just got straight back into the grind. And, well, the luck from zombies was not over yet. Shortly after, I received the iron axe, which would enable me to actually train some wood cutting, which is very welcome, considering the vines are definitely getting my attack level down quite substantially, and having an AFK thing while waiting for attack level to regenerate is very good to have. Apologies for the footage, since I was sort of half screening my RuneLite clients with my mains, and yeah, it looks bad. I'm definitely not gonna think about that in the future when recording these. Speaking of AFK things, or well, things to do while attack level is increasing at least. In our chunk we have an imp spawn. It technically spawns inside of our chunk, or its spawn point is within our chunk. That means we have to complete its unique drops. And this was the point where I started to do this grind, because I was able to hit them quite consistently even with my attack level lowered. So I decided to do these in between the zombie trips. And I got a few quite good drops quite quickly in this. During this grind, whenever the imp is teleporting outside of our chunk, I am using my main account just to kill it so I can get another attempt. It happened quite a few times that I had to kill it because sometimes it kept teleporting away all the time, and other times I was able to get a couple of kills in a row. But yeah, it's a grind that's most likely gonna take a while, but it's definitely nothing compared to other grinds within this chunk. But the first notable drop I got was a tinderbox, and that essentially unlocks fire making. Yet another AFK skill, AFK-ish skill, to do while waiting for attack to regen. Quite quickly after that, I got a chicken. This will allow us now to complete the cooking goal for the chunk, which I pretty much did right away. Delicious. I had now reached a point where I could reliably kill the stronger zombies down to try and get some more upgrades. And it didn't take long before I got an iron mace, which is pretty much the best weapon I could possibly have aside from like a steel mace from the Black Knight for the skeleton grind coming up. In between killing zombies, I'd been chopping and burning logs, and quite quickly I arrived at level 30, and I could complete one of the goals of the chunk to chop and burn a willow log. That is a chunk goal completed.
Going back to the Dark Wizards, I quickly acquired also the Water Rune, which will be useful for the more mid-tier levels, using Body Runes, Water Runes and some Earth Runes to cast different curses. Will not be the fastest experience, but it will be experience at least. It didn't take too long for us to acquire the best in slots to kill our Dark Wizards, since that required the Black Wizard Hat, the Black Robe and the Iron Scimitar. The Wizard's Hat and Black Robe could be acquired from the Wizards themselves, and the Iron Scimitar we got from the low-level skeletons. So this is my setup for killing Wizards in the near future. Also my second random event was a frog token. Pretty neat. Another thing that happened a lot during my Dark Wizard grind was that people were too helpful, in a way. They saw me flinching the Dark Wizard around the corner, they started attacking it thinking I was in trouble and needed the help, but yeah, most of them were pretty chill, apologizing later that I figured out what I was doing, so it wasn't that big of a problem. Then we see Jonte coming in and finishing a Willow grind. Right in front of our eyes as we're killing the first Black Knight. The first Black Knight didn't drop anything of value either. And that's pretty much it for episode 1, guys. We have finished a few goals. Namely the best in slot goals we have gotten the Cabbage Cape, which by the way is awesome, I love it. We also got the Black Robe, the Wizard Hat and the Staff. Pretty much the best gear we could acquire until we started getting some better drops from the skeletons and zombies and the like.
Yeah, you gotta love the Cabbage Cape, even the defense bonuses help a lot.
Yeah, indeed.
I don't think I mentioned it during my recap of my stuff, but the Cabbage Cape helped a lot already with the goblin killing early on. Indeed. Yeah, speaking of goblin killings, that's pretty much our first unique monster, even though technically it wasn't a goal for our chunk, but...
I'll take everything.
Yeah. And of course, managed to also do the chicken, both our cooking, wood cutting and fire making goal for the chunk, so we're looking pretty good. And some of we're working closer and closer to the shop goal, still a few things to pick up, but overall, good progress, I would say.
Indeed. The next episode is going to be a lot about just grinding in general. Big heavy grinds are coming up.
Yeah. Let's not even talk about the smithing grind. God dang.
That's going to take a while.
Yeah, it will. Well, I think that's all for the episode, right?
I mean, I'm a bit curious about that death of yours.
Oh, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, mate. I think, yeah, I'd rather not talk about that.
Very well, very well. Well, better let it happen. Don't let it happen again. The hardcore status is dwindling.
See you next time!
Have a good one, guys.